From the campus of the Ignite Institute at the Roebling Innovation Center in Erlanger, Kentucky, Ignite Student Media presents the first annual Ignite Institute Political Forum.
Hello and welcome to the Ignite Institute 2020 Political Forum. I'm Joe Dees, the social studies teacher for the Ignite College of Engineering. The questions posed here today were written by my students. Most of them were freshmen in my government class. The debate is not so much a debate today as a political forum and a meet the candidate with incumbent Representative Kim Banta of the Kentucky 63rd House District. Representative Banta, welcome to Ignite and thank you for being here with us today. Please take a few minutes to introduce yourself.
I'm Kim Banta, representative of the 63rd. I recently retired from Kenton County Schools. I am currently filling in as a sub because I was told that people need subs. So I signed up and did my 8 hours of training, got all my background checks and everything checked out. So now I'm subbing and I love it.
Hello, I'm Ben Hartline. I'm a sophomore here at Ignite. My question for you is, with technology growing exponentially over the past decade, the country as a whole has seen a rise in fake news, conspiracy theory, and propaganda from all sides. What can the legislative branch do to prevent the spread of fake news?
Well, we have free speech, so there's not much we can do to shut things down. But what we can do is make sure that we answer when constituents ask questions, that we put the correct information out, and we don't wait too long to do it. My email turnover is 24 hours minimum. I get all kinds of questions that are to clear things up. For example, the 2 constitutional amendments that are on there, people wanted to know either my opinion or they just wanted to know what they meant. And that's how to stop fake news, is to make yourself available and to make sure that people get their questions answered.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Donovan Norris. I'm a freshman here at Ignite. My question for you is that a bill earlier this year was passed. The bill was about the taxing of private schools, and it made it so that they did not have to pay the full taxes that they were originally given. And so because of this, the public school system would get less money than what they already have. Now, the average yearly spending in Kentucky for the school system is much lower than the national average. It's been for the last couple of years. So I ask you, what would you try to do to make sure the public school system gets the money it needs?
Well, we fully funded everything this past year. In fact, when I was asked how I thought the legislative session went, I said, I think education had a big W by it. Not only teachers' retirement, but we funded several things in public education, but they even gave me as a freshman, I asked for $4 million, and that's a big ask for a freshman in the House. And they were kind enough to give me $1 million towards mental health testing in Kentucky. So, and I apologize, you were a little bit muffled, but I really think that public school, let me know if I did not answer your question, okay? Because I'm not trying to dodge. But I believe public schools got what they needed this year.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Ms. Banta.
Good morning.
My name's Corinne Mose, and I'm a junior in the engineering college. My question for you is that across the United States, millions of students take part in standardized testing every year. In Kentucky, students take part in MAPS testing, K-Prep, and CERT testing across their different grade levels. Do you believe that this testing is beneficial to both students and teachers, and what can we do to make it easier on everyone involved?
Well, I don't know whether you studied the bills that I have, that I'm on, but one of the bills I'm on, actually with a Democrat out of Louisville, is we are asking, it's actually a resolution, but resolutions carry the same power as bills, but we are asking the Commissioner of Education to reevaluate high-stakes testing. Currently, high-stake testing costs $22 million. That is the general cost across Kentucky. That is not including what schools pay, when they have to, if they have to hire subs, or they buy materials, or whatever they do to make the high-state testing. MAPS is a little different, CERTS is a little different, because that's more testing to see how you're progressing. I believe that's a school choice. What we're looking for the Commissioner of Education to take a look at is the high-stakes testing that kids, pour over from May until the end of May, and you're losing teachable moments through testing. And then you ask a school a year later, and they can't tell you what it just didn't make an impact.
Right. Thank you.
Hi, Representative Banta. I'm Abigail Wilbers, and I'm a 10th grader here at Ignite in the Engineering College. Paisley Jones asked, according to LGBTmap.org, 3.4% of adults in Kentucky are LGBTQ+, and the total LGBTQ+ population in Kentucky is 144,000. Yet there are no private health insurance non-discrimination laws, and Kentucky excludes sexual orientation and gender identity in their non-discrimination laws, including housing and public accommodations. Do you believe that this is right, or do you think that more laws should be made against the discrimination of the LGBTQ+ community?
I don't know about more laws. Another bill that's interesting, I don't know whether you guys looked at my bills and asking these questions or what, but I'm on a banned conversion therapy bill, and that's an unusual thing for a Republican, but because my background are students, I do not believe that mental illness is mental illness is not being gay. You're gay, that doesn't mean you're mentally ill. So we need to stop conversion therapy, okay? So I'm on that bill. I am not aware of any loopholes or anything that's hurting the LGBTQ community. So I would definitely welcome them to at least tell us about it. I do know that our cities, I've talked to the mayors, and I've talked to several people, the cities are passing their own fairness acts to make sure that, and that's a good thing. Things should be local, and communities know their own people. So many communities are going ahead and passing their own fairness acts.
Thank you.
Hello, Representative Banta. My name is Anna Engelman, and I'm a sophomore at the Ignite Institute. I'm speaking on behalf of Erica Brown. She asks, you have made it clear that you want everybody to vote in the upcoming election. What are your thoughts on lowering the voting age?
Wow, I honestly have not given that a whole lot of thought. I don't know that it would hurt to lower the voting age. Many people say that students don't have the expertise, they're just gonna vote the way their parents do. My argument would be the opposite of that. I think kids would probably research more than older people do. And the best way to track that is straight ticket voting. So if adults go in and straight ticket vote, I think I could make an argument where kids are gonna research. And I think that schools would even kind of get involved and let kids research the candidates before they went and voted.
Thank you.
Good morning, Representative Banta. I'm Lindsay Baker, a sophomore here at the Ignite Institute, and I'm asking you a question on behalf of Nathaniel Harmon. He wants to know if you have any particular opinion on the polystyrene facility that is going to be built or is in the discussion of being built on Route 8 in your district. It is possible that this facility could leak and harm the environment and residents in the area. However, the company that might build the facility has said that they are dedicated to following all rules and safety precautions to prevent any harm. A petition has been made against the construction of this facility and has over 5,000 signatures. What is your stance on this?
I didn't realize they were up to 5,000 signatures. That's pretty impressive. I've met with the group twice that is trying to prevent the styrene from coming into the plant. The plant already exists. It's been there in one form or another since like the 60s. So what the company is trying to do is now they're just adding a new product into those tankers. I've spoken to hazmat I've spoken to Coast Guard, I've spoken to the attorneys. It sounds as though they are doing everything belt and suspenders to make sure that that is safe, and it's not going to be any more dangerous than the gas pipelines that are in there or any of the other things that they carry. However, thinking like a homeowner who lives near there, I mean, would I love it if it wasn't going in there? Yeah, I would love that. But you can't force a company to do something that it's already kind of licensed to do. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
So throughout the pandemic, it has been mostly believed that children were not at a high risk of getting the virus, with only about 10.5% of total cases in the U.S. being children. Despite this, many schools in Kentucky are currently running on hybrid schedules and are completely online. Do you believe that it's best to stay online or return back to school in person?
Students need to be back to school in person. And I didn't just put lip service to it. I am subbing. I'm not afraid to sub. I'm old. I'm still not afraid to sub. I throw on a mask. The kids are so good. Even the little ones keep their masks on. We keep their hands clean. We sanitize desks. Everybody needs to be back in school full time.
Thank you.
Whoa. So for my second question, in Kentucky, the mortality rate for cancer is the highest in the country, with an estimated 234 people out of 100,000 dying yearly from it. So then I looked at the tobacco rate. 9.6% of the youth in Kentucky use tobacco. 24.5% of adults smoke. So my question is, what do you plan on doing about the high cancer mortality rate? And what do you plan about doing the 9.6% of youth that use tobacco, 24.5% that smoke?
Well, I have voted on any law that makes tobacco age higher. We voted against the vaping. I know that vaping's become very popular with youth. There is nothing we can do about adults. That is a choice that they make. And I believe firmly that it's there. That doesn't mean you have to do it, okay? So as an adult, that's their decision if they choose to do it. As someone under 18, I think that we need to have things in place to discourage it so that it doesn't become a habit forming, something that follows you your entire life.
Thank you.
My second question to you, I ask on behalf of Sarah Rabe. She would ask you, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Andy Beshear's executive order 2020-215 prohibits any events that would call for a mass gathering of people. This causes there to be several options for voters, like in-person and mail-in voting. Considering the fear many people have of the virus, it is very likely that there will be a large amount of mail-in voters. As a candidate, do you have any concerns about voter fraud?
I think that Gabriel Summey, our county clerk, I think they have done a wonderful job to try and make sure that that doesn't happen. Is there going to be fraud? Sure. Somebody is going to, in our own household, I voted in person. In our own household, my son had his mail-in ballot. Could I have filled that out and done that? That's going to happen in households. I don't think it's going to happen to an enormous extent, so I'm not worried about it that way. But if it makes people more comfortable to mail in the vote, but I voted yesterday on the first day, which they predicted are going to be the largest numbers. I never got within 10 feet of anyone and sailed right through and was able to just do it. I definitely like in-person voting better.
In addition to that, is there anything that you can do to ensure a fair election this year?
I'm sorry, ensure?
Oh, is there anything you can do to ensure a fair election?
Those cards have been dealt. We're just going to have to hope, and hope is not a strategy, but we have to have confidence that everything has been set in place to make it as perfect as possible.
Thank you.
Hi. Women once considered teaching a highly attractive profession because their opportunities were tightly circumscribed. Despite the low wages, teaching was a far better line of work than a textile mill or other industrial employment open to women. However, the past half-century opened a vast new world of opportunities to educated women. The nation's failure to accommodate these recent changes has kept teacher salaries artificially low. Going from a principal to a legislator, do you think educator salaries are too low? If so, what are your plans to fix it?
Oh, this is going to be unpopular. I don't think they're too low, but you're looking at somebody that might clear $15,000 doing this job this year. So to me, even subbing, if I subbed every single day, I'm going to make more than a legislator would, okay? So I don't believe that teacher salaries are artificially low, and I think that we have some perks as teachers that other people in companies don't have. Sick days, personal days, Christmas, Thanksgiving. You know, my kids all married people that have jobs outside of education, and trying to get together on a holiday is miserable because they have to use all their paid personal time to get one day off. And if Christmas falls on Wednesday, they would drive 100 miles to have that one day with you and then drive 100 miles or more back. Do you see where I'm going with it? Teaching not only is a wonderful profession because you get to be with people like you all day with new ideas and cool stuff, but I think there are perks to teaching that aren't necessarily salary, okay?
Thank you.
I'm speaking on behalf of John Jabreski now. He asks, across Kentucky, some counties and school districts are poorer than others. Since school funding is still largely local, this leaves vast discrepancies in the opportunities and quality of education. How would you deal with this and make the school system fair for everyone in every school district in Kentucky?
Did you specifically, I'm sorry, at the beginning, did you specifically mention counseling?
Counties.
Counties, okay, thank you. You're correct. I mean, we want it to be local, but funding is distributed evenly. Whenever like my bill for mental health testing, that was distributed evenly to the counties, and it's up to them to do what they want with it. Some used it for Terrace metrics testing to identify students who are struggling. Some used it to pay for a counselor. So although there are poorer counties, you are correct. Legislatively, we do everything evenly. And counties also have to do what they need to do to get their tax base. For example, we had a presentation from the superintendent of Louisville schools, Louisville Metro. They hadn't raised the 5-cent nickel tax in like 15 years. You got to help yourself too. You can't just ignore the schools. You have to sometimes raise taxes, which is a little unpopular. Kenton County, by the way, does it every year, as they should. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
For my second question, I am speaking on behalf of Ella Goodman. She would like to know if you think churches should be closed, and how do you think we could balance public safety and our First Amendment rights, because churches are being shut down due to COVID-19. The First Amendment states that Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
I'm going to make this really easy. I don't think anything should be closed. I think that individuals have the right to decide whether they want to go to church, want to go to the grocery store, I fill in the blank, whatever they want to do. And I think that everything should be open and they should be given that opportunity. Many will not take it. My parents would not consider going into a restaurant right now, but 30-year-olds might. So, no, everything should be open.
I'd like to add on to that. What do you believe that the safety measures should be inside of these places that are open?
I still think I wear a mask, okay? I think that you should be smart. Wear a mask, wash your hands, stay socially distanced from people you don't live with.
All right, thank you.
Statistics show that 16.3% of Kentucky's population lives below the poverty line, which is 6% higher than the national average. What will you do to decrease poverty and provide better opportunities for Kentuckians?
Well, one thing we have to do is we have to get businesses back open so that people can work. The things that are shutting down, Regal Theaters now, gone. We're not helping anybody by things shutting down because they can't work. So I would say that the best thing that I can do to help is to help the legislators from other poorer districts get businesses open, remove barriers so that people can get to work and they can thrive.
Thank you.
Carson Townsend asks, the average annual cost for an in-state college student at NKU is $18,500, housing and meals included, with the average annual increase of 8% per year. So today's freshman high school students would end up paying around $25,200 for 1 year of college by the time they graduate. Now, assuming this price increases at the same rate every year, the average student will pay roughly $113,000 for 4 years of college. So how do you plan on keeping these college prices lower?
I have no plan for keeping colleges prices lower. Colleges need to look at colleges and figure out what they can do to cut expenditures and to not reflect the additional costs onto the student. And I'm just going to bet, just having done budgets as a principal for 15 years, that there are things that could be eliminated that would reduce the necessity of raising tuition costs and things like that. Housing is housing. You know, that cost is that cost if the student chooses to do that. But I think colleges just need to take a hard look at themselves.
Thank you.
Zachary Whaley would ask, the Brent Spence Bridge was constructed in the 1960s. Concrete chunks were falling from the top road, and it is now considered to be a major infrastructure emergency. It is also functionally obsolete because it has no emergency lanes, and part of the roads are inches from the walls. What will you do to help this infrastructure nightmare?
Well, the first barrier, and I hope you have Sal Santoro coming today because he knows transportation in and out. But the first barrier is we share that bridge. So you have to reach across the river and you have to work with the people in Ohio to get that bridge built and figure out how you're going to fund it. And I don't know what you're worried about with the chunks of concrete, though. They put nets under it. I mean, I'm joking. I'm sorry. It's a bad joke. but you're right. It needs to be done, and Ohio and Kentucky need to come together, and they need to get a bridge.
Thank you.
Asher Baker would like to know, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. In 2019, over 48,344 Americans took their own lives. In Kentucky alone, the annual suicide rate of 12.8 deaths per 100,000 during that time period exceeds the national average of 11.45 deaths per 100,000. What is your plan to help people with mental health problems?
Well, that actually are some of my favorite bills. I'm on a bill, the mental health parity, which will help people pay for mental health treatment because, as we know, many insurance companies don't pay for mental health treatment. My favorite bill is for firefighters that I have that will actually allow firefighters to use their own money that they raise through other things in order to pay for PTSD treatment and to pay for mental health, and firefighters delivering some of that care because many times firefighters don't want to talk to somebody that's never been through what they've been through on calls. So those are, and then I've already mentioned the $1 million that I got for the mental health testing for Kentucky. It is important.
Thank you.
Someone asks, Northern Kentucky continues to grow and develop at an incredible rate. Boone County is the fastest growing county in the Cincinnati metro area and is expected to continue to grow faster than the national average. As we become more urban and less rural, is it time to consider a plan for the conservation of forests and wildlands in Northern Kentucky?
You know, I would actually have to do research on that because I feel like Kentucky does a really good job with our parks and recreational areas and setting aside forests and things like that. So that would actually be something that I would need to research.
Thank you.
For my last question, I'm speaking on behalf of Ava Decker. She would like you to know that Kentucky's concealed carry law is written to allow the carry of concealed deadly weapons, not just handguns. Kentucky allows concealed carry without a permit for those 21 and over, although permits can still be issued. She would like to know if you think that concealed carrying should require a license.
I myself have a concealed carry, so I like people to have training before they own a weapon. Would I mandate it? You know, you're kind of getting into that forcing adults to do things that I don't like Big Brother. I like to think that we have things in place so that people can train to own a gun, they can get a concealed carry. I don't know about the other weapons with concealed carry. That's kind of new to me, but with that, I'm a concealed carry person, so I don't think we should limit what people can do with that.
You said you would like to think that there are things in place so that
Good
people
catch.
have the ability to train to own a weapon. Do you think that there should be background checks or some form of confirmation that a person is suitable to have a concealed carry?
I don't know what that would look like without restricting and limiting people that may not deserve it. And no one has shown me what that looks like yet, where an angry girlfriend, spouse, significant other, fill in the blank, can't do something to hinder the person they're angry with in getting a weapon. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that would look like.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative Banta. You were far more clear and concise than I think we expect from politicians, and we all appreciate that. And as a result, we went a little fast, or we ended a little earlier than we thought. So I thought I would ask the one question that you don't have to answer. I am the joker of the school, so I'll ask my absurd question. Do you think Northern Kentucky should secede from the rest of Kentucky and form its own state?
No, I think that's a financial disaster in the waiting.
All right, that was my fun question. If you would like to make a closing statement or anything, this is your opportunity. We have plenty of time, and whenever you are ready to call it a day, you can call it a day.
Well,
we thank you so much for being here, and we thank you so much for clear, concise, and honest answers. Like I said, we don't expect that from politicians these days, but I think we are all greatly appreciative that you did so. So,
well, thank you. I truly appreciate the invitation to be here today. I know that, I won the office, so you had to bring me, but I always love talking to students. And if there's one thing that I can leave you with, you don't have to disagree and be nasty. We can disagree and have a conversation. None of us broke down and started calling each other names. I know that my concealed carry answer was not what she wanted to hear, and that's okay. She didn't come forward and start calling me names, and she didn't scream at me, okay? It's okay to disagree. You can come to agreements without acting like fifth grade children. So as you go forward, whether you go into politics, whether you go into business, whatever you do, if somebody disagrees with you, always be the calm, reasonable voice. You can always come together in some form of an agreement without calling each other names and being ridiculous. So I just want to leave you with that. Be kind. it matters.
Thank you so much for being here. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it, and we hope to see you again in the near future.
I hope so too. You guys take care. Thank you.